a playlist original.
Hey everyone, what's going on? Jeff here from Films at Home, and thank you for coming back to the podcast today. In today's episode, we're going to interview Bryan Starr, who you guys may have seen somewhere online. YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. He's been sort of everywhere over the last couple of years and really has become one of the biggest up-and-coming creators in this world of like movie collectors and movie lovers. So you probably know his content. He's under BStarrCinema, and all of his links will be in the description. But Bryan's been making some really cool content. He has one of the biggest collections that I've seen and is a real dedicated physical media lover. And he's also been doing some really cool stuff, you know, upgrading all of his DVDs to Blu-ray and 4K. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk a little bit about like the content creation, you know, side of things and that hustle. How he works with his daughter, which is actually a really cool thing that he does from time to time in his videos, and just sort of, you know, just chit chat and have a conversation and talk, you know, physical media and movies. And Bryan's a super cool guy and has lots of good tips on, you know, how to upgrade your collection and how to curate and all that good stuff that we talk about here on the podcast. So I think you guys will really like him. I definitely enjoyed my conversation with him, and for sure, go check out his content. BStarrCinema. It's BStarrR Cinema, all one word. He's everywhere on every platform. So go support him, and let's jump right into the interview, and I'll talk to you guys at the end. Hey everyone, here with Bryan Starr, BStarrCinema. Thanks for joining us today on the podcast. Excited to have you. I should have had you on way before now, so I'm glad you were patient and worked with me and waited, because I don't know how I haven't had you on yet. But yeah, you want to give the people a little background on you and what you're doing out there, you're doing a ton of content creations. Talk a little bit about that and just, you know, who you are, what you're all about.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Again, thanks for having me on here for sure. I like talking with people about movies, and I don't really have a lot of people around me to do that in person. And it's a digital age, and so I'm making the podcast circuit, and excited to just nerd out on movies, physical media, anything nerdum. You know, you can see it behind me, like anything pop culture. I'm totally into. But yeah, so BStarrCinema across the board, and I do content on TikTok and Instagram where I talk a lot about movies, and even over on my YouTube, I'm trying my best to kind of do some movie content like trailer reactions, PR unboxings, which can be fun. And then I'm actually about to go to a Comic-Con, and so content about, you know, what you can find at cons and what you can find even in thrift stores, like if you want to try and get a cheap movie collection going, things like that. So really, it's just stuff that I like to talk about, and hopefully people also enjoy as well. Yeah, like I said, you know, I want to do podcasts to have these conversations. That's kind of how I want my content to be as well, is to kind of share in an experience that I think other people might like to enjoy.
Yeah, well, I can tell you it's definitely working, because when I started, so I've been doing the YouTube thing for a long time. Like it's been 5 years now plus.
Yeah.
And TikTok came around, and I was poking around, and I was like, yeah, I don't know if this app is, I don't know if anybody's going to care. I don't know if anybody cares about what I have to say. And I came across your stuff and what you had started doing. I think when I caught on to your videos, it was sort of like people would be like, I bet you don't have this movie.
Yeah.
And you'd be like, well, first of all, I have thousands of movies. Here's my movie wall. And you would just like pull it out and talk about it and be like, you know, what's next? Try me, challenge me. And I was like, okay. So like there is an audience for this stuff even on TikTok. So honestly, you're probably the reason I even ended up over there at all, was because I saw those and I was like, oh wow, this guy has like at the time like 500,000-600,000 followers, and I was like,
Yeah.
okay, there's something there. And it was cool just to see you connect
Mm.
with people that probably weren't even collectors either, that just loved
Mm.
movies. Like that's the thing I think a lot of people get hung up on when I talk about. Sure, we talk about physical media and like
Yeah.
Blu-ray and 4K, but like at the end of the day, we all just like movies. Like there's no there's no other reason behind it. It's not like I specifically like Blu-ray and I'm just so
Yeah.
dedicated
Yeah.
to a
Yeah.
disc.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like no,
Right.
I like movies, and that's how I think you can, I've tried to connect with people through that content, but like just find people who just enjoy movies and maybe get them to buy a couple discs and support it. But like I never
Yeah.
expect anybody to have the collection I have. I just want to connect with similar minded people.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And that's honestly like when I first started doing the movie wall content, my collection was probably 99% DVD.
Hmm.
Um, it took TikTok getting me into Blu-ray. I totally blame TikTok for how much money I've spent in the last 2 years. Um, but I love it. I absolutely enjoy it. But yeah, and a lot of people would say, why not DVD or why not Blu-ray? Why are you still buying DVD? And I was like, in the end, to me, a movie is a movie.
Yeah.
Godfather can still be enjoyed on on that brick of a VHS, double VHS, as it can on the 4K that recently came out. And my biggest thing, or my biggest film that kind of goes towards that and kind of proves that for me at least, is Blair Witch Project,
Hmm.
which looks like it was filmed straight onto a VHS, and it's still just as impactful and super super successful. And doesn't necessarily matter really how you watch it, as long as you watch it. For me, yeah, it's all about the content, for sure. But yeah, back in the day, the DVD wall
Yeah.
was wild. Yeah.
Oh, I was always surprised at like the stuff that people would pull out and ask you, and you'd be like,
Mm,
"Yep, got it, got it, got it." I mean, you ran the gamut of like, yeah, I've got the mainstream stuff, yeah, I've got the weird stuff, yeah, I've got the cult
yeah,
stuff. Like, you
yeah.
had quite the collection. And then, yeah, the new content I've been really liking is the DVD to Blu-ray or 4K upgrades, and
Yeah,
how you're like finding
yeah.
those in thrift stores. So like, I'd love to talk a little bit about that, like tips, tricks, how you're finding, good deals, because I think a lot of people, they always come to me and they're always asking, and it's like, well, I can give you a link and shoot you to Amazon or Best Buy, and like, yeah, you'll pay
Yeah.
whatever retail price is for, but like, I know myself, I have found Criterion Blu-rays at a Salvation Army for $1. I
Mm.
found Dawn of the Dead on Blu-ray back when that was super hard and out of print for like
Oh,
$3 at
right.
a
Yeah.
Goodwill. So
Yeah.
I would always recommend that. But you guys, I feel like you have a lot more to choose from. You guys have a lot of stores out there, huh?
Yeah. The Midwest is just full. Now, I'm in Kentucky, which is like knocking on the door of the Midwest, but
Yeah.
these the this is why horror cons do so well out here, is we have this just kind of way of living, and horror cons for some reason does really well with that way of living. And that's not even related to like what I'm about to go into, but we're just a different brand of people, and we love a flea market. We love a thrift store, in a maybe 10-mile radius from where I live. I probably have 6 Goodwills, and that's not even, of course, and then counting the knockoff, no brand thrift stores, mom and pop shops.
Yeah.
Um, and so, yeah, when I first started collecting, it was around 2003 or 2004, and the reason I started collecting was my parents actually collected, and we collected VHS. We had a whole closet. Literally, you opened it up, and it was alphabetized by genre. And my dad had a list, and every time we bought a movie, he would write it on the list until we could print a new one. And I loved it. And then DVD came out, And that's, when I started to realize it was getting closer to when I was going to leave for college. And that's when I realized I'm not going to be able to take this collection that I love so much with me. So I should
Mhm.
start. And I did. And my first DVD was Dumb and Dumber. I was a big comedy boy back in the day. And so, yeah, I started any way that I could, which was not buying brand new. I couldn't afford it. It could not happen, especially through college as well, even after college a little bit. So I went to any store that I could find to get secondhand DVDs. And that has carried its way into my adult life. And even though I have adult money and can go and buy any movie that I want to, if I really wanted to, I'm still just like, let me wait and see. And sometimes that works out, and sometimes I totally miss, the best new release or whatever. But um, the way that I kind of talked myself into switching from DVD to Blu-ray was to do it for as cheap as possible. And so I started a series maybe half a year ago, maybe a year ago, but I started a series that I do every now and then where I say that I'm replacing my entire DVD collection with Blu-ray for as cheap as possible, even though that's impossible to do
Yeah.
because some DVDs didn't even go to Blu-ray.
Lots of them. Yeah.
Um, yeah, and so even though that's not impossible, or even though that's impossible to do, that's kind of my hook. But it's true. Like I would like to replace as much as I can and for as cheap as possible. And so I will hit up. We have peddlers malls out here. We have thrift stores, flea markets for the weekends. But my favorite thing to do, the true hack, and this is how I helped build my collection even stronger, even larger. It could, and the crazy thing is, it could be double the size if I wasn't picky or if I had room. The true hack is Facebook Marketplace. If you don't care about DVD or Blu-ray or 4K, you could buy someone's whole DVD collection, that they had in 2005, 2006, and they're trying to get rid of. You could buy it for cents.
Yeah.
For if you're getting a DVD, if you're buying, let's say, 200 movies from someone, 30 cents or lower is what I tried to do, and I was very successful at doing that. And I purchased at one time I purchased 1,000 movies from someone. I did not keep all 1,000, and in fact, another hack is I kept what I wanted and then resold everything that I had and made my
Hmm.
money back. And I would say I'm kind of pulling this number out of nowhere, but 300 to 400 movies that are in my collection were completely free by doing that. And it was great, and it's because of that that I started getting into horror, because I was getting, like, House, for instance. I was getting these, like, you know popular horror films, but not like Halloween popular, and
Yeah.
watching them, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is fantastic. And so all roads kind of like converged, all because of marketplace. But Blu-ray, same thing. I've purchased 300 Blu-rays from someone for about $1 each, and yeah, you're dropping 300 at a time, and I'm sure not a lot of people can pull that off. But you would be surprised. I would, if you really want to get into building a collection, even if it's Blu-ray, get into Facebook Marketplace daily. You would be surprised what you can find. It's the only reason I have Facebook. I do nothing on Facebook except I have Facebook Marketplace. That's it.
I hear you. I do the exact same thing with Facebook. Like there is a Films at Home Facebook page, which I literally put up like a few months ago. Like
Yeah,
I fought it for so long, and now it's just like it's mostly connected to my Instagram. Like whatever I post there just
yeah,
goes to
yeah.
Facebook. But yeah, I only use it for Marketplace, and I found some incredible deals on there. I mean, I just bought a truck off of Facebook Marketplace.
Oh my
So,
gosh.
I mean, it is, and it was probably 3, 4, maybe $5,000 under like what a dealer would charge, because,
Yeah,
so yeah, it didn't have to deal with a dealer. Did all my research
right.
on it. You have to be careful, but
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing because I bought, I mean, I've bought equipment, like home theater stuff off of there. I mean, there was a guy the
Yeah,
other day selling I almost bought it from him and I said, I don't need another one. But one of the Panasonic 4K players, which goes for 400 or 500 bucks, he had it brand new in the box for $150. And I was like,
that's crazy.
do I need another one? I don't know. Like I almost bought it. He ended up selling it to
Sheesh.
somebody
Yeah.
else, which I felt better about because they probably would use it. But yeah, I mean, you can find insane deals, and like you said, buying in bulk is so smart. If you are trying to build a collection, there's kind of something fun about buying 3, 4, 500, going
Yeah.
through, doing your own curation,
Mhm.
and like, yeah, I'm gonna take these 100, and then
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you can go and flip the other 300, and all the movies you kept are free. Like if you're willing to put in the
Yeah.
effort, you really can build a collection for almost next to nothing if you have a little bit of money to put up front, which is
Yeah.
the really cool thing about just like the internet these days. You could use Facebook, you could go on places like
Mhm.
Mercari. I don't know if anybody uses that app, but
Yeah.
I found good deals on there. I saw stuff on Whatnot now where like I curate
Yeah.
I curate my collection, I throw it up there, I say auction starts at $1, who wants it? Like I don't even care what I get for it, and I hope somebody buys it and
Yeah.
enjoys it, and that's been really cool too. So it's yeah, the power of the internet, and if you've got those thrift stores, that's like the thrill of the hunt that
Yeah. Yep.
is it's missing, I think. Going like direct to consumer and going online with everything is it's fine, like we're getting things faster and easier, but you do
Yeah.
miss that thrill of the hunt, like the
Yeah.
I can't believe I found this movie for $2 on the shelf and I can take it home
Yeah.
today, and like I do miss that a little bit. I only up here, I just moved up to New Hampshire and we have bull moose, and that's
Yeah. Yeah.
great. I mean, that's a great, and I found plenty of stuff there because they have all the weird stuff and they take trade in, so they have
Yeah.
cool stuff. But like, that's the only place I have to really go. There's like a couple
Mhm.
Goodwills and a Salvation Army, but I don't have like half price books or like any of that cool
Right.
stuff
Yeah.
that the Midwest has. So I'm
Yeah. Yeah.
very jealous of you guys. You got
Yeah.
a cool
Yeah.
setup out there.
It's absolutely for sure. Very, very lucky. And the nice thing about it too is, especially being in Louisville, is if I want to go hit up Indianapolis, that's 2 hours away. Cincinnati's an hour above. I'm going to Columbus this weekend. Nashville's 2 hours below, which has McKay's. I don't know if you've heard of McKay's.
No.
Um, it's like the New York Library of everything, books, movies, vinyls, and they have like 50 cent bargain bins full of movies.
Oh,
It's worth the trip. It's insane. But you mentioned the thrill of the hunt, and that is for me that is key.
yeah.
And that's and part of, and like I mentioned, I have adult money, but the thrill of the hunt keeps me from just, oh, new movie coming out, pre-order.
Right.
I like, part of me kind of wants to miss out because I'd rather have the thrill of the hunt. And I also collect Funko Pops, and I mentioned in a video where I don't pre-order Funko Pops. One, because I would pre-order everything that I liked,
Yeah.
but two is, yeah, the thrill of the hunt. When I go to these Comic Cons, I want to find the pop that I've been looking for, and more than likely it's going to be double, triple the price. So you do got to kind of think about it that way. But with movies, at least, the thrill of the hunt, you never know, you might get it cheaper when you do that. And there has been multiple times throughout the years where I find something that I am just blown away by. And it's probably not so much because it's worth more, but it was a movie that maybe I heard about years ago, and
Mhm.
I saw it, and everything clicked, and it just like blew my mind, and it was $1. And those moments, that's what I go for. That's what I hunt for when I get to these places, because you just never know what someone's going to have, and that's a blast.
Yeah, no, that is I think that's the beauty of collecting anything is you are like I don't pre-order I don't think I've ever pre-ordered a movie. And people may think that's crazy with how many I have, but I
Yeah.
feel the same
Yeah.
way. Like even back when I used to work right by a Target, and I'd be at that Target
Mm,
every Tuesday trying to get the new
yeah.
Steelbook or but like I didn't pre-order them. I was like, let me
Yeah.
go into the store and see what they've got and see if I'm lucky enough. And sometimes I missed and sometimes I hit.
Yeah.
Um, but that is the fun part of it. And I still do that. I still go into Goodwills and like, I don't want to spend, and I tell people this all the time because I'll have people comment on a video or on a social media post or whatever, and they'll say like, "Oh, I really want this, but like my wallet's killing me right now, and I don't get paid till next Friday." Like my advice would be, if that movie is the difference between like you having enough money and getting paid, and your wallet really like you don't need it that bad. Like
Yeah.
save it.
Yeah.
There's that fear of missing out that so many people
Yeah.
had, and like you just said, like you literally don't fear missing out. Like you like to
Yeah.
miss out sometimes to try to go find stuff
Yeah.
for,
Yeah.
and that
Yeah.
fear of missing out is huge everywhere. And I know I probably don't help with like videos and stuff and, releasing things when it comes out, but that's just doing a review. I'm not, I would never advocate like, hey, yeah, you better go into credit card debt to go buy these
Yeah.
10
Yeah.
movies. Like you
Right.
know, the reality is within 3 months, most of these $20 movies dip down to 12, $15 anyway. Within 6 months, you usually get them for 10. And if you are really looking on Facebook and stuff, even on eBay, there's plenty of people who just like, I see it all the time. They strip the digital code out, they take that,
Yep.
and for whatever reason, they bought the physical movie and they sell the physical for like $12. Like there's plenty of
Yeah.
ways you can
That's.
go and build for cheap.
I just did that with Love and Thunder and Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. Saw someone, they took the digital code and I got it
Yeah.
for $10 each, I think. This was before Black Friday, when I know Thor was pretty cheap, but yeah, if you have just like a little bit of patience, unless it's like your die hard movie,
Yeah.
unless, you have a tattoo of Halloween, that is your movie and it comes out, it's like the greatest, signed by Jamie Lee Curtis steel book,
Right.
yeah, maybe go for it.
Yeah. No, there's always
But
exceptions.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, if just random movie here and there, you either get it or you don't. Whatever happens happens. And Yeah, but yeah, my whole thing for sure is, that's what I said. I used to say that back in the day of the movie wall is, because more and more people, like you said, more and more people's collections started coming out of nowhere. Like physical
Yeah.
media people started coming out of the woodworks, and some people's collections were, just a nice. And I'm just like, man, these guys got great collections. So how do I stand out? Oh yeah, I'm the biggest cheapskate on this platform. I have, like, there's, everyone's got these like brilliant arrows and 4Ks, steel books, and I'm just like, well, here's a DVD of Tenet, a movie that probably should have been bought on Blu-ray. And Yeah, so unfortunately, I'm still like, if I can get as cheap as possible, that'd be great for sure.
Yeah, but I mean, it is like, I mean, it all comes back to just like, if you don't love the movies, don't buy them.
Yeah,
And there's no
yeah,
point in buying something that you're not going to watch, that you're never going to, if you're not going to rewatch it. Like this has been something I struggled with, was I was like the buy everything guy, and
yeah,
now it's like, well, I have this workflow. I talked about it in another podcast where I'm like,
nice.
if I watch it and I said I'd never rewatch it again, it can go in the trade for sale pile. Like
Yeah,
I don't need it. And if I would
yeah,
watch it again, I'll keep it. If it's something that's like special, unique to me that I care about, like yeah, I'll keep it. But like I've been getting rid of a lot of stuff that I've just watched once and said, nah, don't need it. Somebody else can enjoy it, and I'll put it towards, some special edition or something that really means more to me, and
yep,
I'll
yep,
spend the money on that. It's that curation is super important, but also just, yeah, people have to remember like we do this because we love the content. Like it doesn't,
yeah,
there's too many. I fight these people in my comments all the time.
Yeah.
There's too many gatekeepers of 4K and people who will be like, "You
Yeah.
only have that movie on DVD, like, you suck." And it's like, what do you mean you suck? Like, they have
It's
the
wild.
movie, they love it, they watch it how they wanna watch it, like, you don't have to
Yeah.
have a 4K TV, you don't have to have 12 speakers, you don't like, those things are not required to enjoy movies. Are they super
Yeah.
cool if you can do it? Yeah, sure. But like you don't need them. At the end of the day, we're just
Yeah.
enjoying content. So I feel you and I say good for you for doing it as cheap as possible because you know what? You've got
Yeah.
a better collection that you probably enjoy more than a lot of people who
Mhm.
maybe spent thousands and tens of
Sure.
thousands of dollars. You know, it's personal to you, and that's what I think a collection needs to
Yeah. Yeah.
be.
Absolutely. Yeah. You mentioned so I you mentioned people commenting about
Yeah.
different quality setups, whatever.
The
And
gatekeepers.
multiple times I got comments about my setup. Like, let's see your setup. I'm like, man, I got a PS4. I don't even have a DVD player. I don't even have. Um, I have a sound bar. I don't have surround sound like my parents did, and I miss it. Don't get me wrong. Like, don't get me wrong. I would love a home theater for
Sure.
sure. But I got a PS4. I still haven't even unboxed the 4K player that I think it was Columbia sent me. I
Oh,
want
yeah, the
to,
Sony. Yep.
but I also just like rewired like my TV setup, and the thought of trying to do that again is pushing that off more and more. Speaking of that, we both went through a move recently. Did you go
Yeah.
through? Did you go
It's
through any like let's get rid of these movies? Because I have to pack them all or anything.
that's honestly where this my mindset changed when I had to move because I'd
Yeah.
moved so I moved out of I started a collection. When I started collecting, I was in college. Um, I moved into we, like, refinished the basement in my parents' house my senior year, I think. And I was down there with my fiance, now my wife, for like a year, and that's where I started collecting. But like I had a few hundred, so we
Okay.
moved out of there. I moved into a
Yeah.
condo. I brought them with me. It wasn't a big deal. I had like maybe 4 or 5 bins of movies. And even when I moved out of the condo into my first house this is 4 years ago, I still only had like I had a lot, but like I put them all in my truck and drove them to the new place. Like it wasn't
Yeah.
overwhelming
Yeah.
having had a dedicated space in a house for 4 years and then trying to
Yeah.
move, this time, yeah, I looked at it, I started packing stuff up, and I was like, "This is not going to work." Like, even though we were hiring movers and everything, like, we were
Yeah.
getting help this time. I got so overwhelmed trying to fit everything into boxes. Like, I still have stuff in
Yeah.
boxes. I purged a ton, though. I think, no joke, I've gotten rid of close to 1,000 movies in the last
Wow.
3 or 4 months. I know that I've sold 2 I did, like, bulk I put, like, 400 movies together, and I sold it to somebody on Instagram
Nice.
twice. I've done
Okay.
that, so that was, like, 7 or
Sheesh.
800, and
Yeah.
I traded in a bunch more. It's gotta be pushing 1,000 at this point, and that really did.
Wow.
That's what changed my mindset because I was like I was also getting anxious about just, like, space and
Mhm.
like, getting closed in on, and I was like, "This like, your
Yeah, sure.
collection should never give you, like, anxiety," and, like, this is not a
Yeah.
healthy thing, so, yeah, I mean, that's totally where it came from, that's where my whole mindset changed, was like,
Yeah.
"I gotta move," even though I was moving to a bigger space. I have more space than I had then, now,
Yeah.
but I wanted to be able to use the space better, and I feel so much better about, like, instead of having shelves, I can put posters up and, like, stuff
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
I just really enjoy, like, I can hang things on the wall because I don't need all that wall space to be
Yeah.
shelving, so, yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. Yeah.
did you go through the same sort of thing when you moved?
I actually did a YouTube video, that it took me, I started filming in January of this year,
Yep.
and then I moved in August, and so I would film at least once a month, that whole 6 months doing the hard thing of getting rid of movies that I like, half of which I really kind of liked. But at the same time, I was like, I just don't think I'm ever going to watch it again.
Right.
There was a lot of movies that I was like, I'm only keeping this because I'm a completionist, but these are
Mhm.
awful, like the Hangover trilogy. I only have the first Hangover now, and when am I ever going to watch 2 and 3 again? It's probably not going to happen.
Yeah.
So I was making like those decisions. And yeah, I have been through so many moves with that collection that, even when I moved into my first ever apartment after college, it was already like ridiculous. And then, yeah, getting into a house with professional IKEA shelves that I spent over $1,000 on, and the collection just kept building. This also, when I started doing the movie content, the movie wall content, I opened up a PO box and I probably received 300 plus movies in the mail completely for free from people.
Wow.
And so not only did I have the movie wall, I had a stack that was, and then that's all in the YouTube video. It was a stack just full, and it was insane. It was absolutely insane. And so I was like, I need to get rid of as many as I can. I did not get rid of the plot twist or spoiler alert. I did not get rid of as much as I wanted to. It was really difficult, but I came to a number that I was like, I think I want to stick to this number and for the rest of my life. And if I can bring it down, that would also be great too. But yeah, it was a move changes everything
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it was that, and then in you probably had some of this too. I had the kid, so once the kid comes into play, you're like, oh boy, I'm not like just an individual anymore. Like
Yeah,
I'm a dad now, and I have other people I have to like. I've never had to take care of anybody but myself. Like,
yeah,
so that
yep,
that changed my whole mindset too. Just like, do I? It was just like, do I need all of this stuff? Like, I don't need all.
yep.
I'd rather have a space that is more family friendly than literally just like shelves on shelves on shelves on shelves, and it's like a room that I go into, I get overwhelmed with just to say that
Mm,
I have
yeah,
this many movies. I used to do. I was all about that. I would like. I had the count on my Instagram page, like up 3,257
nice.
movies. Like, how many can
Yeah,
I get to? And it was
yeah,
like
yeah,
I was like, I'm gonna be an archive. I'm gonna be a library. I'm gonna own everything, and people are gonna come to
yeah,
me. And it's like
yeah.
that's not the reality. I don't even know anybody who I literally offer it up, and like nobody even wants to take my movies. So it's
Yeah,
like I was like, this just needs to change. My whole mindset changed. Just like
cool. Yeah,
let's get more comfortable with it. Like, let's
yeah,
enjoy it and not have it be a burden, because it can be like,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
you're
Oh yeah.
constantly buying shelving. You're constantly like, how can I display these? Oh my god, that shelf ran out. Well, what funky like weird shelving thing am I going to do next? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
we all have limited space. Like, if I was Martin Scorsese, I'd have every movie I'd ever want in
Yeah,
3 bedrooms full of stuff. But like,
yeah,
not nobody is that. No, nobody has that
yeah,
space. And then
yeah,
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 you,
yeah.
you
No.
have kids, and it's just like, here goes the space, that you thought you had. It
Yep.
changes your whole mindset. But I will say, speaking of kids, I love the content you do with your daughter.
Thank you.
It's
Yeah.
so much fun. We have I just announced this to everybody like in my last video, but I have a daughter on the way, so I'm looking forward
Wow,
to that.
dude.
I've got the son now.
Yeah,
We had the
yeah,
boy. We have a girl coming in January, so I'm like,
man,
I
dude.
look at
Congrats.
you and your daughter, and I'm just like, that's the relationship I hope to have, because it seems like so much fun.
It is, man. It's fun, and she's hilarious
Yeah.
and just so goofy, and a lot of her ideas are in the videos, and I absolutely love it. She doesn't like to do it all the time. And as much as I would love to be like, no, no, this is perfect. This is great. I have to be like, I can't. I
Yeah.
cannot. You know what movie? Oh my gosh, I don't even know if I can think of it. It had. Oh wow, it's about a guy who plays piano. He's insanely, insanely good. Oh my gosh,
Is that all
there's.
you can give me?
But basically, yeah. He might be on the spectrum a little bit. He's played by a very famous actor who was in the Pirates of the Caribbean series as the villain. I'm pretty sure that's him in the first one, and that is all I can give you. And he's jumping on a trampoline at one point, and that's all I remember. But the other thing I do remember is his dad was the worst because he was always like, "You have to you have to play,
Hmm.
you have to be the best, you have to do this," and it totally like ruined him as an adult.
Yep.
And I'm going to think of it. It's going to happen by the end of this. And I saw that as when I saw that when I was very young, and it affected me to the point where, yeah, if Willow's not up for it, I can't do it. And there's been like multiple
Yeah.
times where I was like, you know what, Willow would be really great here, but and I just kind of throw it out there. It's like, hey, you want to make a TikTok? And she says no. It's like, all right, that's
Yeah.
fine. I see the families on YouTube, and it just doesn't look like it's going to work out that that well. So,
It's
as much as I love her in it in every video that she's in, um, it's kind of like Christmas Day. You do it once every
yeah.
year, and it's going to be great, and then you got to wait until the next time. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it has to be fun. Like I've thought about that too. Like the kid, he's gonna be 15 months tomorrow. He's still too young to do anything. But I'm just like,
Yeah.
if I'm still doing this in 4 or 5 years, like I would love if he was interested, if he wanted to do something. Like
Mhm. Yeah.
you want to come on and give your 30-second review of some movie you just watched, or like
Yeah.
Toy Story, which everybody knows and loves, but you've just experienced for the first time. Like, let's
Yeah.
give your honest 5-year-old review of that movie. Maybe you hated
Yeah.
it, because that's funny. But like, yeah, it would need to be fun for them. It would have to be something that they'd want to do. Because you're right, the YouTube families. I'm sure there's some out there that are perfectly fine and they're well
Yeah.
adjusted, but boy, I look at some of them and it's so forced. And I just know,
Yeah.
like those kids are turning 18 and just sprinting to the opposite coast of whatever their parents live on. Like they are
Yeah.
gone.
Right.
They're
Yeah.
they're so far
Getting
out of there.
getting away from a camera, I would say as well.
Yeah, it's so much, and people, they film everything. There's no privacy, and like, yeah, I
Yeah.
couldn't do that, but like I would love for them to have fun, because your daughter Willow's gotten to do some really cool stuff. She had that whole DreamWorks saga there for a little
That
bit.
was
Was awesome.
that was insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, they DreamWorks commented on my daughter Willow did an interview or a review, which wasn't really a review, but she gave a score to a couple of movies that she saw recently, and she gave The Bad Guys, which is a good film, a 10 out of 10. And DreamWorks commented on it and said something. And I think they were saying, I think they literally commented, "Hold on, we're waiting to put Willow's review on the poster."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Listen, if you guys do that, I will print it." And part of me commented that on purpose because I knew that's a great story and that's a
Yeah.
great piece of content. And they did that, and I did as I said, except I was also filming at the time. And then it blew up, and DreamWorks sent a package for Willow, and the nice thing about that initial video that blew up is Willow didn't have to be involved, so I didn't have to like push her to be like, all right, now we got to do this, Willow. You got to do this because people are counting on it.
Right.
And so I didn't have to do that, which was great. And then when the package came, I did my best to not like force a camera in her face as she opened it. You can see by her reaction, it isn't like a oh, like the kid opening up, was it a Nintendo 64 or something like that?
Yeah,
Type of reaction, but you can still see her reaction is super special, and it was great, and she loved it. And yeah, I mean, I have it framed on my wall. It says, "I give it a 10 out of 10 Willow," and it's the poster for the bad guys.
yeah.
Yeah, it's
That
great.
was super cool. I was so happy they did that and actually followed through, because I remember I saw the video, I saw the comment, I was like, oh, this would be really, really
Mhm.
funny if they like went through with this. And
Yeah, and they
it was
freaking did it.
great. It was great content. I mean, I hope, like, I don't know how you could have marketed better to kids with that. I mean, hey, here's our kid reviewer.
Kids
He
and
gave it a 10 out of 10.
kids
Like,
and adults. I
yeah,
had so many people
it was
comment,
genius.
"I'm going to watch it now,"
Yeah,
and I'm just like, movie studios, listen up.
I know.
I don't know how maybe don't try and fake it, but maybe just like slide into people's comments and just see what
Right.
happens. It's free, to do that, and then if something blows up, something blows up. Um, yeah, yeah,
Well,
it
that's
was
what I appreciate about
perfect
your stuff
marketing.
too, is like the authenticity of it is important. And people get on me sometimes and they're like, your videos they're very like straightforward, and like you just sort of, I don't do anything over the top, and I don't have crazy
Yeah,
edits and like memes exploding all over the screen, and like
yeah,
crazy like I don't know, I'm just here to
yeah,
like talk movies and just like, I don't know, I'm
yeah,
like, I'm an adult. Like I react and get excited about things, but like, yeah, there's a lot of things going on. Like, how excited am I about this?
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
keep it measured. Like, I don't go over the top and fake it, which so many people do. There's
Yep.
the fake excitement and
Yeah,
the screaming at your computer, and it's like,
yeah,
I've been so excited about some stuff. Like, I
yeah.
loved seeing 3 Spider-Men on the screen together. I
Sure.
loved the Force Awakens trailer when that came out, and like Avengers, and like I
Fantastic.
was excited about all this stuff. I just maybe it's just me, but like I could not scream at my TV or screen like that. Like
Yeah, yeah,
I have a smile and I'm like, oh my God, this is so cool and this is awesome, and like I'm
yeah,
kind of like blown away, but like I appreciate because you don't go over the top with that, and you easily could have with something like that DreamWorks,
yeah, for sure.
or some of the other things
Yeah,
you've
right,
done
right,
with
right.
like with Disney, or even just some of your own trailer reactions and stuff, and you don't, and
Yeah.
it's so much more authentic. And I think that those people may get more views, but I would say, and I always say this, like I'd put my audience up against them, just in terms of like the community, and like
Yeah,
actual
I get
people
it.
being here and engaging with you, because you're
Yeah.
real. And I think that's
Yeah,
missed
yeah, yeah.
so much online.
Yeah. No, no, for sure. It's tough because I get excited. I get excited about things. I
Yeah.
just posted my reaction to the Mario trailer, and you can look at my face, and it's like, a couple of laughs and
Yeah.
haha, that's great, and oh, Princess Peach, that's awesome. But then at the end, when they show Mario Kart, which is a staple in my childhood, and
Yeah.
Rainbow Road,
Right.
I went nuts. But yeah, I mean,
But it's real.
just
That's the difference.
constant,
Right.
that trailer doesn't deserve that. All trailers don't deserve that. Most
Right.
It's usually at the end when it goes crazy. And so, showing that excitement is definitely great, because other people are going to be excited at those times
Right.
for sure. But the absolute standing up and cheering, screaming, ripping shirts, going crazy,
Right.
um, honestly, that's for basketball. Go do that in the fan, in the fan area. Go to a soccer game and in the fan area and go nuts. But yeah,
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know
you
about the
can't be at a
movies.
10 all the, if you start
Yeah,
at a
it's tough.
10, then where do you go from there? That's what I say. Like,
Yeah. The
you see the opening
yeah.
shot of a trailer and you rip your shirt off and you're screaming. And it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
well, that was there's 2 minutes left, and I don't know how you can top what you just did in the first
yeah.
5 seconds. So,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
when you do get the big reveal at the end of, holy shit, they're doing Mario Kart and Rainbow Road, like this is awesome. And there was like that
Yeah.
Mad Max Fury Road like type
Dude,
like with
yeah, all the
everybody
cars
behind
coming
them.
in.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
like
that's
Ready
cool.
Player One almost. Like that was
Yeah,
awesome, but you can't rip your shirt again. So like
yeah, yeah,
you've
yeah.
blown it for the whole video. Like,
You have
you
no
know,
other shirts.
right. Like I
Yeah,
I
that's funny.
I do appreciate the yeah, there's peaks and valleys to
Yeah.
everything. We can't always be here. Like you're gonna just look insane. And I just yeah, I've never understood it. Maybe I'm just too measured myself, but like I get excited, but like I just when it
It's
warrants it.
the it's the it's the dopamine hits that people are
Yeah,
constantly looking for.
it
It's
is.
why those movies are, billion-dollar movies. It's nothing but dopamine hits, and I get it. I'm a sucker for it. People hated Rise of Skywalker. Man, I was a sucker for it because it was constantly just like, oh, look who it,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
just constantly like, it felt nice, and then you kind of review it later, and that's when things fall apart. But yeah, no, it's tough. The state of movies is tough.
Well, that's I
But
wanted to ask you,
yeah,
do
yeah,
you
yeah,
do you feel like we've gotten to a point where there's fan service and there's great moments in lots of movies
yeah,
that like give you that
yeah.
like oh, they brought him back or they brought her, like the character's coming back. I feel like we've gotten dangerously close to a point where they're just like doing it for the sake of doing it sometimes, and
Yeah,
it doesn't necessarily
yeah,
fit or make sense that we had to have these 15 cameos or like that
mhm,
callback to this movie. Like it's becoming almost like formulaic, which scares me a little bit.
yeah. It's dangerous, and it's also dangerous to talk about because someone is going to take the words and misconstrue them, whatever that word is. And look at what's happening to Tarantino and Scorsese. Anytime they mention the word Marvel, they get
Yeah,
dragged. And it's like, but have you seen their filmographies? It's especially Scorsese. Come on,
right.
but whatever. But uh, it's tough. It's tough for me to be excited about some of the stuff, because it's just constantly, yeah, a lot of fan service. And don't get me wrong, I love having the fan service when it's something I am excited about. So I get it, and it's hard to like, it's kind of hypocritical to say that, but yeah, it's cameos used to be special when the whole crew gets together to fight in the first Anchorman, and out of nowhere you got Ben Stiller, and
Yeah,
Anchorman 2 had Liam Neeson show up. Like those were cameos. Those were like, where are the, a good modern, somewhat modern cameo was Brad Pitt in, I think, Deadpool or Deadpool 2, I forget, but
yep,
he's invisible and he
yeah,
gets seen for one frame. That's the art of the cameo, and I think the art. Yeah, I think the art is dying. It's more just kind of callbacks that don't do anything, but kind of just. I think people love to be familiar,
yeah.
and it's hard to get out of that,
Well,
for
there
sure. And
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 there's
you're
this
you're seeing a lot of that.
there's a fine line too between like making sure everyone's familiar with your content and then getting too big. And now I feel like I'm lost
Yeah,
because this is Marvel definitely had that like I liked that everything was tied in like the first couple phases, everything leading up to like Endgame.
yeah,
I'm like,
yeah,
all
yeah,
right, these movies, I got the characters, we got our set of characters, I know what's going on, I've got the timelines, we get the big payoff with Endgame. Since then though, I'm like lost. It's like, okay, so I gotta watch 12 Disney Plus shows. I gotta watch the holiday special over here. I gotta watch this 3 hour
and you
movie for a character
and
I
you
don't even
have
really
to,
right. And if you don't watch
yeah,
them,
because
you're
you're lost.
lost. And it's like
Yeah,
now I have to be familiar, but I'm forcing myself to watch stuff I wouldn't have watched otherwise. And I can't you
yeah,
can't disconnect and just like you can't just watch Doctor Strange, the new Doctor Strange movie, and not have seen like five other things to
yeah,
understand it. It's just not. It won't make any sense. You're gonna be like, well, I don't know why any of this is happening or what's going on. So
Yeah.
that part, like, I appreciate the universe building and stuff, but like at a certain point, it almost gets too big, and you start to like. This is why I just love the simplicity of like a Spider-Man or a Batman, where I'm just like,
A one
I
shot.
I know
Yep.
that character. I know who their
Yeah.
villains are. They don't do anything too crazy. We know who they're going to be fighting. We know their story, and it's blown up so big that I'm getting lost, and I want to be familiar with it, but I literally don't have enough time
Yeah.
in the day to like.
Yeah.
I now just go and like for a lot of the Marvel shows, I'll just be like before I watch the next movie, I'll be like, all right, well, give me a quick synopsis. Tell me what the end credit scene was at episode 8 when they ended the series, and then I'll be set for the
Yeah.
next movie. Like,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that
Right.
annoys
Yeah.
me because I'd rather not have
Yeah.
to do that. And it's not just Marvel. It's becoming so much stuff. We'll see where DC goes with like they've got a whole new team. I mean, Star Wars is
Yep.
getting to that point. At least
Yeah.
they've kind of kept their core story, but even that is expanding beyond, where you'd have to watch some stuff. And
Yep.
it's, I
Yep.
mean, Avatar is going to get 8 Avatar movies. It's like, how far can we go before it's just like we're all overwhelmed by content? There's only so much time in a day.
Yeah. Yeah. It's Marvel has very successfully done what I think the problem is of comics themselves,
Hmm.
and that is there's too much, and it's too much to keep up with, and because it's just like what's happening now is it's just like comics where you can't just read Batman. You have to read Detective Comics. You have
Yeah.
to read JLA. You have to read Teen Titans. You have to read Robin and whoever else has their one shots and Catwoman to get the whole story. Or you buy the collected or whatever. But with movies, that's so much
Yeah.
time, and yeah, and it's becoming very very difficult. That happened to me when I was watching Black Widow. The credit scene, Julia Louis Dreyfus shows up, and I'm like, who's that?
Right.
Well, that's because I didn't watch the Winter Falcon Soldier show.
Yeah, I
I
didn't
just
either.
didn't. I just didn't.
Yeah.
And apparently she shows up in there, and I still haven't watched it. And so, now granted, that didn't ruin my experience completely, but yeah, I mean, if you are this, it, even before those two big, Russo brother movies, I saw someone post, which trilogy is the best, Batman or Captain America? And I was like, what are you talking about? Of course it's Batman. But everyone's like, no, 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 no. Like, this sucks, this sucks, this sucks. Captain America. And I was like, but you need this movie, this movie, this movie for these to make sense. I'm
Right.
sorry. Like, yeah, those are 3 good movies. But I mean, yeah.
Not as a
So, and of
package though.
course,
Yeah.
everything can be argued. But yeah, it's tough right now. And I think it's beating a dead horse talking about Marvel all the time. But I don't know. I do not know.
Yeah.
I definitely miss the days of there's a Spider-Man movie, there's an X-Men movie, and Fantastic Four. And
Right.
it doesn't mean they were the best, but that's all we had, and it was a great time at the movie theater for sure.
Yeah. And I keep thinking every time I see one of these, I keep thinking how I had to write a lot of papers in college. And every time I wrote a paper, they would
Mhm.
say, write the paper and explain this as if the person had never heard of this before.
Yeah,
And that's what some movies can do really well. You can watch those Christopher Nolan Batman movies, and even if you've never heard of Batman and you have no idea on the mythology, you can watch those
yeah,
3 and you get the story. It starts at the beginning
yeah,
and it progresses through. There are moments, if you're a super fan, that may stand out to you more than others, but you don't need
yep,
them to get all the way through. And that's where I'm getting lost with all this new
yeah,
stuff is I'm like, you guys stopped making movies for people who haven't seen 12 other movies. Like, how do I just go and enjoy 2 hours? and
Yeah.
it's getting harder and harder to do. And I understand the complaints. Like I do get it, because I feel that strain. Like it's like building a collection too large. I'm like, I'm getting anxious that I haven't watched this show, because now I can't watch this
Yeah.
movie, and now I need to do
Yeah.
research. Like I have to read 12 articles online before I go into Doctor Strange, so I know what's happening. And
Yeah.
it's like that's not right. I shouldn't be anxious about watching a movie. It should make sense to me if I've never seen anything else.
Yeah.
And there should be moments that, sure, make sense for other people. Do your fan service. If they're tied into everything, great. But like, it's still going to make sense to somebody who's never seen anything else, or it's not that great on its own. You have to look at them as a whole universe. You can't judge these individual movies.
Yeah. And you know who did do it incredibly well, and of course I'm biased, but Matt Reeves and the Batman.
Yeah, perfect.
It's flawless. Yeah. So,
right. Like you need to know anything else about that, and you could just dive right into that movie. I mean, I even said when that came out, I was like, you could take Batman out of that movie and it's still a great movie. He could have just been Detective Smith from the Gotham PD. Like he didn't even need to be Batman really, and it was still a great movie. So
it's a solid story.
Yeah, like that's what you need to do. You need to be able to just have a good story without the character to rely on.
Yep.
Well, there's my old man rant for the day.
I know. Yeah. Yeah. It is, but it doesn't mean we're wrong. You know.
No. I think we're not the only people.
Story.
Yeah, we're not the only people feeling this way.
Yeah.
And especially when you get into your 30s and you have kids, and now you're like, who are these movies made for? I guess you'd have to be 16 with just like unlimited time on your hands to like consume all of this. Yeah, it's just not. I guess they're just not made for us anymore. There's other stuff that is.
That's what I realized when making content and looking at the more popular people in the space.
Yep.
Single, young,
right.
living in LA.
Time and opportunity.
And good for them. Seriously.
Yeah.
And that's what I realized. I was like, I will never get to that level because I live in Kentucky. I have a kid.
Yeah.
It's just not it. I can make the best content possible. It's just not possible. And so now I'm in a space of, okay, then what can I do that people can still relate to? Because not a lot of people can relate to everything. So there's definitely space for everyone. So what is it? What can it be? And it's a constant figuring that out every day.
But that's definitely part of my challenge too. Like I'm not getting invited to the Marvel premieres in LA. And even though I have Boston, that's still fairly close to me, but like they don't do anything there. Like nothing happens there. It's, maybe there's stuff in New York that happens. Like, okay, it's a 6-hour drive.
And there is,
like,
there is stuff in New York, but the LA thing is strictly, I tweeted this yesterday, I think. It's never going to happen because you don't live there. Yeah. It's as simple as that. They're not going to pay you to fly out there.
No.
And that's it. And people need to, hopefully people realize that. Hopefully people say, like, your standards need to be taken down because you don't live there. It's never going to happen. Could you move out there and make it happen? 100%. I guarantee for a fact, if I moved out there, despite my age, I would be at those premieres tomorrow. 100%. Because it's way easier than people think. It's just, we don't live there. So that's it.
Yeah. It's just limited. And that's why we got to sort of make do with what we have. But I think it goes back to like sort of building that. We have that real community. You have those people that come back to you. And it's not just the dopamine hits of the 15-second video at a premiere. And it's like, and then I scream at the screen and everyone goes nuts. And then I leave and it's like, okay, so on to the next thing. Like we have to do more to connect. And I think that's what makes the content more, I would say, more valuable in some ways. I mean, good for all those people out in LA. Like I wish I could do it. and maybe someday.
For
I've never
sure.
even
Yeah,
been, so
absolutely.
like I'd love to just visit and
Yeah,
see what's
yeah,
going
yeah.
on
It's
out
great.
there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's tough. It's tough. Kentucky, New Hampshire, not exactly a ton of opportunity, but we're
No,
making
you know
do.
what? The opportunity I do have, which I'm gonna just make, I'm just gonna do it. Cocaine Bear lives an hour away from me. And so I
Really?
think I'm gonna go visit Cocaine Bear. Yeah, the actual like stuffed Cocaine Bear, who was once owned by Waylon Jennings, I think I read,
Oh, that makes
is an
sense.
hour away from me. So yeah, I'm gonna put it out there and be like,
That
hey, let's I can literally show you Cocaine Bear to
that
tie
trail.
in or to help
Did you watch the
promote the movie.
trailer?
Yeah, yeah.
It's nutty. I love it though.
Yeah.
Like, you know what? Good.
Oh yeah.
That is
Yeah.
an original off the
Yeah.
wall. Give me that all day. Give me
Yeah.
that all day.
Yeah.
Cool.
Speaking of movies, Shine is the movie I was talking about. I did have to Google it, but Jeffrey
Shine.
Rush, Shine, 1996.
Huh.
I could be wrong about everything I said about that movie, but for some reason it stuck with me.
Well, I'm gonna
He
I'm
plays
gonna
piano
look
really,
for a
really
guy on a
well.
piano on a trampoline, and that's all I've got to work
Lit-
on. So
Honestly, the cover of the movie is him jumping. You don't see the trampoline because I'm pretty sure he's naked underneath the jacket that he's wearing. But yeah,
oh,
that's it.
and
So random.
you watched that how young?
Yeah, I mean 1996, so it was definitely I would say like fifth grades. Maybe I watched it a couple of years later, but yeah, I was pretty young.
Well, hey, it had a good message and it stuck with you,
Stuck with me.
and that's what we love.
Absolutely.
That's why we
Yeah,
watch them.
that's why we do it, because it sticks with us forever, and we get to talk about it. That's it.
That well, and I was gonna say, you know what? Even though we don't have the opportunities, like this is our opportunity. It's the
Yeah.
internet. It's the internet itself is an opportunity. The fact that I can talk to somebody in Kentucky for an hour about movies, you literally couldn't do that.
Yep.
I don't know, 20 years ago. That was not even possible. So,
Yeah.
we make
Exactly.
our own opportunities. So I appreciate you coming on though. This is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We'll definitely have to do this again, and I'll definitely be looking. If you're doing the podcast circuit, I'll be checking them all out. So I'm excited to see you pop up
Absolutely.
some other places.
Yeah.
You want to give some quick plugs here before we go? Again,
Sure.
where
Yeah.
people can find you and what you're up to lately? Cocaine Bear.
Yeah. It's Cocaine Bear. Me and Cocaine Bear are hanging out soon. I BStarrCinema across the board, pretty much all the platforms.
2 R's.
I 2 R's, just like Ringo,
Important.
but no relation. Yeah. And yeah, I mentioned my scaling down my collection YouTube video, which is up, and I'm going to Comic-Con this weekend with a goal of talking to Kevin Smith. I would like to get him to autograph my recently acquired Dogma on Blu-ray. So
That was a pricey
that's my
one.
big goal. It was
I
pricey,
saw
and
that
so will
video.
the signature be.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was not a cheap find in
No.
a thrift store.
But you
No,
still did good.
but
I think it was still cheaper than what you'd find it for online. So you still did pretty good
yeah,
considering.
yeah. I'll take it, and I did, and now it's going to be signed, or I'm going to try, and yeah, but yeah, I'll get that YouTube video up as well. But yeah, TikTok, Instagram, hanging out. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to build a better community that I think I wasn't building at the beginning when people were asking for me to pull movies off a shelf. I think people just got their answer and
Yeah.
left, and so that's just what I'm been trying to do, is just try and actually build a real community, which I think is more important for sure.
No, it is. It's what it's all about, and I think you'll definitely get there. You've got the right content. You've got the right demeanor. You've got the right collection too. So you'll you'll get there.
That.
We'll I'll make sure we'll link everything, whether you guys are
Sure.
watching this on YouTube. If you're watching the video, we'll put all the links in the video description. If you're on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, whatever, it'll be in the episode description there as well. But yeah, go check out Bryan, BStarrCinema, 2 R's, BStarrCinema. It's good stuff. You guys will like it. If you've been enjoying my content, you're gonna like his content for sure. So go check them out. And yeah, hopefully we can work together here and keep building this community up, because it's definitely one that deserves more attention. Us physical media old guys, I guess, at this point. We need to build this community. So
yes, absolutely. No, that's perfect. And seriously, thank you, one, for the compliments, but for having me on and just talking. It's seriously, it gives me a pep in my step and keeps me doing what I'm doing. So I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no, thank you for coming on. I appreciate the time. I know we go about an hour and it's a big commitment. So I appreciate you coming on and taking the time. And
no worries.
Hopefully a lot of people will listen to this and we'll both be better for it. I think we will.
Yes.
So I appreciate it.
Perfect.
All right. Well, we'll talk to you soon. All right, everyone. So that was our interview with Bryan. Bryan was super cool to talk to you. I hope you guys enjoyed that. We got, into some deep topics, and it was a long conversation, but definitely worthwhile and definitely, worth listening to. I think lots of good tips and tricks in there, and lots of good information on just like how, if you wanted to get started with content creation, if you wanted to start upgrading your collection from DVD to Blu-ray or Blu-ray to 4K, some really good tips in there. And so it was a really good conversation. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Definitely check out all of his content. The links will be in the description. And of course, make sure you're following along here. If you're on YouTube and watching, subscribe on YouTube. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, wherever you are, check me out, follow me there, leave me a 5-star review if you enjoyed this episode. I really appreciate that. So thank you all for watching and listening. Have a great rest of your day. I'll be back next week with a really, really special episode. So stay tuned for that one. But yeah, have a great rest of your day. I'll talk to you guys soon.
Coming soon. Be sure to subscribe to the Films at Home podcast using your favorite app so you don't miss another episode. And while you're there, don't forget to rate and review this podcast, which helps us out tremendously. You can also help support us by watching our short-form content over on YouTube and TikTok by searching Films at Home. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at films_at_home. The intro and outro were created by Elin Osborne. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.